Hey, it's time to talk some baseball on the Sun Devil Radio Network as we join you with another edition of Dugout Chatter along with head coach Willie Bloomquist. I'm Jeff Munn for Braden Bell. We come to you from Blanco Cocina Cantina. No, I did not walk in here by mistake thinking women's basketball was still going and just showed up out of habit. No, I'm filling in for Braden. He'll be back next week. Got a lot of ground to cover. Let's get right into it with the head coach, Willie Bloomquist. So I'm trying to get him to give you a big round of applause.
Well, I mean, for all the people that are here, it should have been a little bit louder now. There's a ton
how about
of people,
it?
A ton of party,
big
party going on, you know.
Well, and on top of that, maybe the way I should have said it was the head coach of your nationally ranked Sun Devil baseball team.
Well, I don't really look too much at the rankings yet until the end of the year, but
there is that.
It's nice to be recognized for the hard work these boys are putting in.
And a very strong week. We go back to, actually, the last show was taped the night before the Grand Canyon game. And you get a win there in walk-off fashion. You go to Kansas State, get 2 of 3 from a really good Kansas State squad. And then Monday night, a game that got a little nerve-wracking at the end at UNLV, but you come out with a victory. And we were just talking before you come on the air. Look, the name of the game is win the game.
Yeah.
And you won the game.
We did. And I'm wearing a hat today to cover up all the patches of hair that I lost last night. But, man, that was I don't know how else to say it. That's just sometimes that's baseball, and that wasn't how we drew it up, especially after being up 12-0 after 5, and I was had the intention of resting some of our regulars and getting some other guys in there and getting them at bats and getting some experience. Quite honestly, I felt like we were going to be coming home early after a 10-run rule.
Started to look that way.
And I'm like, man, I get to get home early, maybe have dinner with my family, all this stuff. My mind starts going down there, and then the next thing you know, I'm for lack of a better term, going, who can I get to stop the bleeding here? and man, boy, I have a lot of explaining to do as to why I took out Landon Hairston and a couple of these guys early, to kind of rest them up a little bit with the amount of games we have coming up here. And I'm going, man, this isn't good. But thank goodness the boys made a couple plays there at the end, and we were able to get it.
Now, there were some real positives out of Monday night, and it starts with the starting pitching because those midweek games are great opportunities for guys that might be struggling to get out there, get some work in, build a little confidence back up. And that, to me, was what took place last night.
Yeah, Easton Barrett threw the heck out of it last night. That's a kid that started in the rotation at the beginning of the year. Had a little bit of trouble there throwing strikes early on, and so we moved him out of the rotation. But that's a guy that we're going to need not only – this year, but moving forward, we're going to need that kid. He's very talented, threw the ball outstanding yesterday against a team that can really, really swing it. UNLV is no joke when it comes to their offense, and he had him stymied there pretty well for 5 innings and I think 2 hits and 9 punch outs through 5, and we were feeling really good about ourselves, going into it, and like, man, things are starting to click. They're coming back together. Easton's throwing it great. Now we can get some other guys in there and continue to get work in and prepare for the week ahead, and then, like you said, it got interesting there real fast.
Let's cover the rest of the week since we were here last. I listened to most of the Grand Canyon game from my hotel in Iowa City before we were getting ready to play basketball, and I thought to myself, as you get the walk-off win in the 10th inning, I thought, that's an indicator. I get it. Grand Canyon has had their struggles this year. They're a mid-major, but look, anytime you can win a ball game in that fashion, it speaks to the character of your club.
Yeah, I think in just that whole game was, a little bit methodical and not as intense as I would have liked it to be. Our guys came out and we were getting hits, but it just had one of those weird feeling type of games where we get runners on base and then we line into a double play, or we hit a ball hard right at somebody and just can't push runs across, and then you look up in the 5th and it's nothing, and you're going, okay, we got 4 innings to get to work here, and the game's starting to shrink up, and they put up a couple runs, and now the pressure starts mounting. We got to score, but bottom line, our guys stayed resilient. There's been a handful of games this year that I think years past we don't win, and this year's team is different in the fact that they dig deep when they have to. They know they expect to win, and they figure out ways to do it. And again, last night was an example. Grand Canyon was an example. 2 games, really, the 2 that we won in Kansas State were an example of that, of just staying resilient and not giving in and continuing to push forward. So things we got to get better at, certainly, but the will to win is in there, which is that's tough to teach that.
You brought up the Kansas State games, and it did demonstrate the will to win in a couple of different ways. The Friday game, you're down a run late, you get the tying run home on a double play ball, and Hairston gets you the home run to put you in front, and then you shut the door from there. You get those last outs, we talk about it all the time. Those last 3 outs are often the toughest outs to get. But to me, that was a real statement, that you're down a run late in their ballpark and you think, oh no, here we go. And yeah, it was a little deflating that the tying run scored on a double play ball. But the next batter, literally, boom.
Yeah, I mean, and we talked about that too. Times where you just have to put the ball in play. And those was one of those moments, sure, you would like to, hit a ball in the gap there or whatever and score 2, but the main thing is you got to tie the game before you take the lead in that situation. And, if I remember right, it was Dom Longo that smoked that ball right at the second baseman for a double play. Hit it really hard just right at him, but the bottom line is he put it in play. We got the run in. That's a lot better than a punch out or an infield pop-up, and now you're going, okay, now we definitely need something in the outfield in order to score. So we got the run in, and then, Harry was able to come up there and put a hurting on a ball like he'd done all weekend long and give us the lead. So, and then, Finn Edwards and Schaaf closed it out, which was outstanding.
The Saturday game was kind of looked more like a Sunday game where it was back and forth, a lot of runs being scored. You get to the 9th inning, and you not only grab the lead, but you put up a really crooked number to make certain they didn't get any ideas in the bottom of the 9th.
Yeah, that was one of the crazier games I've kind of been involved with. But again, it showed the resiliency of our guys. We were back and forth. I think we scored 3 in the first, gave up 3 in the first, scored 2 in the second, gave up 2 in the second. Anytime we started getting a little bit of a lead, we gave it up. And ultimately they took I think they took the lead a couple different times where we bounced back and retook it to give it back up, and back and forth we went. And you get to the 9th inning after we had their one of their best hitters had hit a 2-run homer to take the lead, and it's like, man, kid got us, and now here we go. But Dom Smaldino leads off the top of the 9th with a double, and as I told our guys, I don't think anybody in that dugout thought we were losing that game once he hit that double. It's like, we're winning this game. Somehow, some way, we're going to figure out a way to win this game. We're not giving in. We're going to stay resilient. They were playing no doubles in the outfield. Didn't matter. He hits one over his head, for a leadoff double, and away we go, and put up an 8 spot. And that was a big win for us to come back and again, continue to stay resilient. And after they had taken the lead a couple different times and figure out a way to win that one. Even though it was ugly, we still got the win.
Yeah, that's the name of the game. The thing about your offense, and I know that the times that I've filled in for Tim on the air this year, we've talked about it a little bit after games, but the way you set up your batting order, you think about Hairston and the amount of RBI he has already this year. What that says, not only is he just a dynamite offensive threat, but to get that many RBI, you got to come up there with guys on base. 7, 8, 9 have really been productive for you this year.
Strategically, that's how we have the lineup set. It is where, the 8 and 9 hole are extremely important for those guys to get on base to set the table for Harry. And if I had Landon hitting 3rd or 4th, I mean, there's no telling how many RBIs he would have, but. I want arguably our best guy to get as many at-bats as possible, and which makes those lower level lineup guys 8, 9, 7, 8, 9 extremely important to start a rally down there. So when it does flip the lineup, he's got guys on base to do some damage with. So that's been extremely key, and is going to continue to remain being a big emphasis that those guys work counts and get on base down below.
I think it was your coach, Pat Murphy, that was the first guy I encountered that set up his order, and I'm sure others had done it before. But the year he had Jeff Larish in the program, he hit him leadoff. The guy's a power hitter, and people would ask him, why are you putting a guy with such a big bat in the 1 hole? And he said, simple, 5 at-bats.
Yep, 5 at-bats, and can't walk the leadoff guy.
Right.
So if you do, then go ahead. We'll take the leadoff base runner. So I think in our case, we have such an array of guys behind Landon as well. It's not like we don't have any hitters behind him that can do damage. But it makes our lineup click. He's that pitcher's got to work extremely hard. It's not like he's a slap hitting singles guy. He's a kid that can do damage and put the ball in the seats, and you can just as easily be up 1-0 after the first pitch and so these guys have to concentrate from pitch one on having to face him at the top, and again, just giving him as many opportunities as he possibly can at the top of that lineup.
Yeah, and I know that you have lots of statistical data about your offense. I would be curious to know how often a leadoff walk this year to one of your hitters has led to a run, because it's almost like if the leadoff guy gets a walk, you almost think to yourself, well, ASU's going to score.
Well, that's it's big. I mean, we certainly feel it on the other side of the ball when we walk a leadoff guy. It seems like that guy always scores, but it's a big key. So you pick your poison when it comes to Lando. You got to pitch to him and risk a leadoff double or leadoff homer, or you're going to try to pitch around him and walk him, and he's got phenomenal plate discipline where he'll take his walks and get on base, and then we got a kid you'll talk to here shortly in PJ that'll hit the 4-hole and go first to third, and we're in business. So that's kind of the dynamic of our offense.
Yeah, just a quick thought before we go to a break, and we're going to have Cole Carlon and PJ Cerritos as our guests this week. That can't be overlooked. You've got a guy hitting over 300 in the 2-hole, and it's not a matter of when he goes up there, he's just looking to lay down a sac bunt to move the runner. You're looking for slugging percentage. You're looking to have him drive the ball into the gaps. Yeah,
I think it's again especially important that you have a guy in the second spot that is able, if it's a right-handed hitter, is able to go to the right side, because when Landon's on, that hole is huge over there between first and second. Somebody that can drive the ball in that hole, a guy that's going to see a lot of pitches and continue to work the counts, especially when you have a kid like Harry that doesn't mind swinging first pitch. He'll get up there and let it rip. So if on the rare chance he does make an out on the first pitch, you want a number 2-hole hitter that's going to see some pitches and work a good at bat, which PJ's done a phenomenal job of so far this year on seeing pitches, putting together good ABs. It's a guy you can hit and run with, a guy you can play small ball with, and he's got some pop in there too, to where he can hit a double or hit a homer and score that guy from first. So again, just continuing to put hitters in there that can pile up good at bats and keep passing the torch.
It brings up a couple interesting things that we'll discuss with Coach in our final segment. We do have guests, though, this week, as we do every week on Dugout Chatter. Cole Carlon, PJ Cerritos will join us as we continue on with Dugout Chatter from Blanco Cocina Cantina in Novus Place. And we'll do that right after this on the Sun Devil Radio Network. Back we go to Dugout Chatter on the Sun Devil Radio Network. I'm Jeff Munn for Braden Bell. The Devils coming back off a busy week on the road predominantly. We're joining you from Blanco Cocina Cantina in Novus Place. If you're looking for great Mexican food, come here and you won't have to go anywhere else because it's fabulous. Our first of 2 guests on the show this week, is ASU's Friday night starter, and he's off to a terrific start this year. The product of Corona del Sol High School, left-hander Cole Carlon is with us. Cole, thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to be here.
Let's back it up a little bit. You had pitched predominantly out of the pen, but this year the plan was that you're going to move into the rotation. When did you start working on stretching it out in terms of your stamina, your ability to go deep into ball games? Because there is a difference. If you're coming in to pitch 2 or 3 innings, it's one thing. You go out there as a starter, you want to try to get as deep as you can, so you've got to build up to it.
Yeah, for sure. I think it started kind of in the off season in the winter in like the weight room and just doing a lot of conditioning, and then just coming back into the spring, trying to get a starter role and just kind of building up inning by inning as we get in kind of like our spring inter squads to get ready for the season. And then just a lot of extra conditioning to get my body ready, too, was big.
Now, as you're doing conditioning and weight type of training, do you ever get a concern in the back of your mind that it's going to affect your stuff?
Honestly, no, not at all. I feel like at the end of the day, like it's more beneficial, and it's only to make us better. And it's mapped out really good. Our strength coach, Ted, is awesome with kind of mapping it out so it doesn't affect when we're actually like on the mound pitching.
You've been a strikeout guy the whole time you've been in an ASU uniform, going back to high school to Corona del Sol. It's one of those things as a starter that the strikeout obviously is an empty at bat for the opponent. They can't advance runners. They can't do much damage of any kind unless it's a strikeout wild pitch, obviously. But there's also, you're trying to hit a balance in terms of your pitch count. And I know that is something that you're working on even as we speak.
Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest thing, like strikeouts come with throwing strikes. So I think that's been my biggest focus, is just trying to attack the zone as much as possible. Get to 2 strikes before 2 balls is kind of one thing that we're really big on. So I think just overall, just kind of staying with like my plan and attacking the hitter. And it would be awesome if they swung at every single first pitch and hit a ground ball to PJ. That'd be great. But strikeouts come with throwing strikes, and if they're not going to hit it, then they just kind of happen that way. So
and it's really interesting. There have been a lot of cases in Major League Baseball of guys who are great strikeout pitchers, but they have to learn a technique to be able to stretch out their outings. The best example I can think of is when Max Scherzer was drafted by the D-backs, and he comes up, he's trying to strike out everybody in the ballpark. Beer vendors, parking lot attendants, batters, broadcasters. He wants to strike everybody out, but he'd get to the 5th inning, and he'd be over 100 pitches. It was when he got to Detroit, and Jeff Jones was the pitching coach there, that Jeff Jones kind of taught him, okay, here's how you can do this and stretch it out. Where I'm leading with is, are there guys that you look at either in recent history or currently in professional baseball that you look at and you study and say, okay, this guy's a strikeout guy. How does he get into the 7th inning?
Yeah, one of the best pitchers in baseball, Tarek Skubal. I've seen him throw bullpens, so I think that's just kind of watching him even kind of work and how he goes about his own business and process is really cool. But how he's able to go deep into ball games for the Tigers is awesome, and I want to be able to start stretching it out more and go a lot deeper into games too. So I think he's a guy who I really look at.
It's interesting you bring that up because there are a lot of stories, and I think this involves Scherzer, that there have been a number of pitchers, go back 20, 30 years, that they'll credit Nolan Ryan. And they'll say, I got to watch Nolan Ryan. He invited me to watch a bullpen session. What is it that you learn in a bullpen session when you're watching another guy?
Just kind of like what their focuses are and kind of how they also like react to like what the pitch is thrown to, and just overall like what their stuff is, what it's doing, and just kind of how their tempo when they're in their bullpen, and just kind of certain things about how they go about what they're doing, and their demeanor is also really big.
Cole Carlon, Sun Devil pitcher, is our guest here on Dugout Chatter. I think the other thing that's a challenge about being the Friday night starter, and I know you have scouting reports going into a series, but the Saturday and Sunday starters get the benefit of kind of watching either from the bullpen or the dugout, and they get to watch guys come to the plate, and they watch you and say, okay, he handled this hitter this way, he handled that hitter this way. As a Friday night starter, you're going pretty much on what the intelligence reports are before you go into a series.
I think obviously we know a lot about the hitter going into it, and I let Coach Ricardo handle the pitch calling. Obviously, he's really good with that, and I trust everything that he calls. So my main focus for me is just kind of go out there and focus on executing each pitch one at a time, not think about what's going to happen in 2 or 3 pitches later on down the road. I'm going to just focus on the current pitch and just executing to the best of my abilities, and more times than not, it'll lead to success.
You mentioned Coach Ricardo, and one thing I've noticed, and I give him a lot of credit for this, everybody on this staff is really good at throwing strike one. The first pitch is going to be right in the zone. And it's very elementary, but it bears mentioning. When you get ahead in the count 0-1, everything swings your way as a pitcher. You've got the momentum, or the pendulum is all in your favor.
Yeah, for sure. You got to win the race at 2 strikes. It's a lot harder to hit when you're down 0-2 rather than being ahead in the count as a hitter 2-0. So just make sure the hitter's uncomfortable a lot, and just going after like strike one's is the most important pitch.
What's the approach if you get a guy 0-2? Are you saying to yourself, let's see if he'll chase something out of the zone, or do you want to challenge him and say, let's just say, here it is, try and hit it?
I mean, it kind of depends. I'm really just throwing my pitches with conviction. I'm just keeping it over the white part of the plate, whether in the zone, up in the zone of the fastball, down in the zone of the slider or curveball. But really, it's just just throwing everything with conviction. And, it's either mostly trying to get 0-2, I want to get a swing and a miss or weak contact. I don't want to really give them a pitch that they can handle there if I'm that far ahead.
You enjoying the role of being the Friday night starter?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's awesome.
As I said, it's always – I don't want to use the word added pressure because there's always pressure to win the first game of the series, especially in conference. But knowing that it is the beginning of the series, if you manage to get a win, it's just like getting strike one. If you get win in game number one, you've got all the momentum. So from what you're telling me, that's a challenge you embrace.
Yeah, I mean, I love it being able to go up, go after a team for as many innings as I can, and just being able to kind of set the tone for the weekend and for the rest of the staff what we're going to be like, and just showing the other team that, yeah, I'm going to go attack you. The guys coming in after me are going to attack you. Or over Bay on Saturday, Klecker on Sunday. We're going to kind of all have the same mentality and go out and attack each pitcher. So I think that's been the biggest thing is just kind of hopefully setting the tone for the weekend.
We're talking with Cole Carlon, Sun Devil left-handed pitcher. The performance of the bullpen, I think, overall has been outstanding this year, and I can rattle off names: Fitzpatrick, Penn, Schaefer at the back end. As a starter, that's got to give you a lot of confidence to know that if you run into a rough patch, if you get into the sixth and things aren't working out quite the way you want, you got arms back there that are going to keep everything in order.
Yeah, no doubt. We got a bunch of guys capable of getting outs back there, and they've all had amazing seasons. I mean, a good example of that was Friday. Went out for the sixth inning, and it didn't really go my way. A couple balls hit hard, and T-Pain came in and shut him down, and then Shafe and Finn handled the rest. So it was really, really fun to watch.
Penn's had an amazing – I mean, he had an outing in the TCU series. It was just phenomenal on the Saturday night where he just comes out and TCU is doing all kinds of damage offensively. He comes in and that's it.
Yep.
I mean, that – from the dugout or the bullpen perspective, that's got to be really fun to watch.
Yeah, for sure. It's really big. And then also put a zero they put a zero on the board, and then our offense is just unbelievable also, so be able to get a good chance for separation there. And then, it's just fun to watch the guys go attack and compete too.
I'm curious to know the Kansas State, I was talking with Coach before we came on, Kansas State's got a turf field, and we know the deal is that ball's going to come off that turf. The hops are going to be higher. The ball is just going to be a lot livelier. You can't really think about that when you're on the mound, that I'm pitching on a turf field. You just got to go out there and do what you do.
Yeah, definitely. That's exactly how it is. You kind of can't think about a lot of that extra stuff. You kind of just have to go stay in the moment and just kind of attack the hitter the same regardless of what field you're playing on.
Who is, if you had a role model as a pitcher, who would it be?
That's a hard one. I would say
we ask hard questions on this show.
Yeah. I guess Tarek Skubal, fun to watch. Like you brought up earlier, Nolan Ryan. Nolan Ryan's a guy who I've watched kind of a little bit growing up. Clayton Kershaw. Just a lot of like those, just really great pitchers who had great careers, and they're just really fun to watch.
Kershaw is an interesting one because he wasn't really what you would call a power pitcher. And he would get a lot of strikeouts, but his signature pitch was that big 12-6 breaking ball. So if you watched him pitch, you're watching to see when he's going to bring out the big curveball at what point in the count, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's cool to kind of watch how they do things, how they attack hitters. It's just seeing how the guys who are doing it the best in the world. So it's a lot of fun. Yeah,
it is. Do you ever watch guys? It sounds like an odd question, but when you talk about contemporaries in the game today, obviously Paul Skeens is a guy that's name is going to get mentioned a lot, but he's a right-hander. Can you learn things from watching a right-hander?
100%. I think all pitchers are different, body types and stuff like that, but I think the biggest thing is just I keep bringing just like attacking hitters and how they just go attack the zone with their best stuff.
Exactly. Well, I'll tell you, it's been a joy to watch you pitch this year, and I'm saying that like we're getting to some end point, and we're not. There's a lot of baseball left to be played, but I know it gives Coach Bloomquist, Coach Cardo, a great deal of confidence, know they can turn to you on Friday nights. And we appreciate you turning to us tonight here on the show. Thanks for coming by.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Our pleasure. Cole Carlon with us up next. PJ Cerritos will talk about playing at shortstop next on the Sun Devil. Don't stop applauding. We haven't hit the break yet on the Sun Devil Radio Network. We continue on Dugout Chatter from Blanco Cocina Cantina at Nova's Place in Tempe. And in for Braden Bell, I'm Jeff Munn. The Devils host West Virginia this weekend. We'll have some info about that series for you coming up in our final segment. But our second guest of the evening has just off to a terrific start, both offensively and defensively. We welcome to the program ASU shortstop PJ Cerritos. Hi, PJ.
How's it going?
Good. A transfer from Cal.
Yes, sir.
It's amazing to me, and I want to say this in the nicest way I can.
Yeah.
Cal has always had a phenomenal ability to attract, recruit great baseball talent. Mm-hmm. But you go to Evans Diamond and you think, how are they doing this? Mm-hmm. Evans Diamond is not, and I hate to say this, it's not the Taj Mahal.
Yeah. Sure.
But obviously it says a lot about their coaching staff that, that your journey started there. Mm-hmm. And you're not the only one. I mean, they have names out on the outfield wall that go on forever. But tell me a little bit about the decision to come to Arizona State.
Yeah, so out of high school, I was committed to Cal Poly, and then things happened in my senior year of high school. I ended up committing to Cal, and had my first 2 years there. My first year was awesome. Second year was more of a development year. Not really the year we wanted. My sophomore year, moving into the ACC, and going into summer, I was thinking about hitting the portal, and I remember talking to Bloomy because he actually recruited me out of high school, and I remember just going to the transfer portal and just saying, like, Arizona State is where I want to be, because he always wanted to win. And, he played in the big leagues for 14 years. And a shortstop, it's what you want as a head coach, and he could develop me as much as he can. So, and it's been pretty good so far.
Yeah, I would say so. And we're awfully thrilled that you're here. Mm-hmm. I do, you brought up something. How difficult was it in terms of travel in the ACC last year?
It was pretty hard. Going from a 3-hour time difference too was pretty hard. We actually had to leave a day earlier. Instead of leaving Thursday, we'd leave Wednesday morning. So we'd kind of waste the whole day going from our flight would be at 8 in the morning, get on the East Coast around 8 p.m. at night, and then practice the next day and then all that. And then the ACC tournament, we had 2 9 a.m. games. So that's 6 a.m. our time at Cal. We had to start those games. It was pretty hard, but it's what we had to do.
Yeah, it's kind of what you had to do, what Stanford's had to do, and then the schools on the East Coast coming west to play both the Bay Area schools. But that's all in the rearview mirror.
Yep.
I'll tell you, I have been so impressed with your play at shortstop in the games that I've seen, and I've seen the majority of the home games. The thing that it has impressed me, not only your range, but your ability to field the short hop. Mm-hmm. That takes practice. Mm-hmm. You've got to understand the timing, and especially on an infield. This is Phoenix Muni. The atmosphere conditions here are much different than the Bay Area. Mm-hmm. And let's just start there. How much time you had to put in? A lot of time on the infield at Muni, just getting adjusted to the dry air, the hard infield, because even though it's grass, a lot of times that ball comes off like it's on cement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure. What we preach here is feet work. Working with Bloomy as soon as I got here is that my footwork needs a lot of work. Obviously picking is a thing that I've always been good at, but if you don't have the feet, you're not going to be able to do it at higher levels. So coming here and practicing the footwork, it's really helped me a lot in helping me pick the ball at short.
Sun Devil shortstop PJ Cerritos joins us on Dugout Chatter. But to go back to the fielding the short hop type of play, you've gotta know the way that ball is going to come off the ground, because if it comes off too high an angle, it bounces off your chest. The guy's got an infield single. That hasn't happened with you.
Yeah.
I've been so amazed at how you can make that play.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think it just comes off reaction too. I think I have pretty good reactions at short, just seeing how high it is coming off the ground on where the ball is actually coming off the bat first. If it's right off home plate and it's got to take a high hop, you got to go get it. And if it's kind of more at a lower angle to where it's below my head at a chest height, you just see it right there and go get it.
What's the tell me about the other parts of your infield experience. Have you always been on the left side of the infield, or has there been time at second?
Yeah, no, I've always been at short growing up, going from high school and everything. I worked at third in the fall. We didn't know where I was going to be at. We were working with third and short. So I've never really been on second base. I think I could play there too. I could play anywhere, but short's priority where I've always been at.
Yeah, and you got to have an arm if you're going to play on the left side, because you got to throw guys out, whether you're at third or short. And that's something also. I remember a play in particular, and it was during the TCU series. You made a throw over to first, and I said on the air, I said, that was a fastball Coach Accardo would have been proud of. Sometimes you got to do that. And you got to fire that thing in there at like 90 plus, and you know, hope it doesn't leave a hole in the first baseman's mitt.
No, yeah, for sure. I think I've always had a good arm growing up. You know, it's always taking care of my arm, and to be a great shortstop, you got to have a good arm. So, you know, I'm just blessed to have a God-given ability to have a good arm. So, yeah. And
it's been on display, and hopefully fans will get out and see PJ and the rest of the Devils this weekend against West Virginia. Let's flip it to the offensive side of things. Coach mentioned in the first segment that it's so important to have a guy with your offensive skills in the two-hole, because Landon Hairston is going to get on base a lot. And the other thing is, as a right-handed hitter, you have taken such big-time advantage of the hole that opens on the right side when Lando gets on. And that's, to me, that shows your offensive skills right there, having the ability to take the pitch the other way when you've got that opening on the right side.
Yeah, no, 100%. But it first comes with the approach that they give us. You know, when we have our hitters meeting, it's just always be on time for the fastball, adjust curveball, and always sticking to the right side, because if you're sending breaking ball, you're not going to be able to, you know, go that way. You're going to hook it and everything. So it's just sticking with the approach, and I stick with it. And it's just trying to hit a hard ball the opposite way.
Your first home run of the year came in the TCU series, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Take me through that, because that too was an opposite field shot.
Yeah, it was. I can't remember the count, but it was either 0-2 or 1-2. And I was just thinking, just get wide, because we preach about a two-strike approach. It's just get something. My two-strike approach is just get something, hit it up the middle. And I got a pitch to hit on the outer half against a lefty, and I barreled it. Ball snuck out. So, yeah.
Yeah. Were you surprised?
I was a little bit, yeah. I definitely was a little bit. It was flying that day.
It was a night game on a Saturday, but the ball was flying quite a bit. That was part of that 9-run inning, wasn't it?
The home run?
Oh, no, not the home run.
Oh, which one?
The home run was on Friday.
Yeah, Friday.
That's right.
Yeah.
In the 5-4 ball game.
Yeah, 5-4 ball game. Yeah.
We're talking with ASU shortstop PJ Cerritos on Dugout Chatter. The offensive part of the game, it's challenging when you're, especially at shortstop, which is such a defensive-oriented position. You have to balance your time correctly to make certain that you're focusing on the offensive part of the game. You got to get in the cage as much as you can. You have to manage your time very well, I would think.
Yeah, no, it takes a lot of discipline and hard work to play at such a high level position. It's definitely a lot. They Bloomy and the rest of the coaching staff hold me to a really high standard, you know, because he was a shortstop as well. So he pushes me to the max, and I just do whatever he says to be where I'm at today.
How'd you feel about playing on the turf in Manhattan? The ball gets on you a little fast.
It does, yeah. It's definitely different than dirt. At Manhattan, the ball kind of flew a little bit on the dirt. There was one play I think I had. It was hit pretty hard and just came up right at me. I only had like time to make 2 steps, and it just came right to me. So it's just right when I field it, I just got to be able to make a good throw and get it there.
That makes that infield practice before the game even more important.
It's very crucial to practice and get reps on their field, especially going from dirt to turf.
Yeah, it's also, look, it's a little harder on the outfielders, but it gets to the legs too.
Yeah.
No matter where you're playing in the field defensively.
Yeah, no, it's hard, you know, just adjusting to a different field too. That's not yours. So just be able to get those reps before the game, and the practice the day before is very important.
Do you have did you come into the season with offensive goals? Did you say, I want to hit this number in terms of average, this amount of home runs, or this amount of RBI? Is it something, do you set goals? You just say, I'm going to take what the game gives me?
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, obviously, of course, there's those individual goals, but I think that the biggest thing for me was just coming in here and having an effect on the team on how we could win as much as we can. Obviously, it is individual goals of hitting over 300, certain amount of homers. I'm not really too on that, but I was just thinking of if I could have a quality at bat every single time I'm up at the plate, I'm doing my job.
I know that Coach Bloomquist was talking about the team approach and the team attitude toward offense, but I think it's the same kind of attitude on defense. You've been at or near the top in the Big 12 in fielding percentage, and to go back to the TCU series, I think of Longo's diving catch on the warning track, that had to obviously got the whole team energized.
Oh, yeah.
But there's an awful lot of pride involved with how well you guys are fielding the ball and not forcing the pitcher to have to get 4 outs in an inning.
Yeah, of course. We have rules on our infield and outfield, but what Bloomy says is for our infield is make every routine play and turn every double play. It's all we could do, and as long as we do that and control that, we'll be pretty high in that fielding percentage.
Well, we are, as I said, we're excited to have you here as part of the program. And I know that one of the things that you're probably enjoying about being here is not having to wear a jacket at a night game.
Oh, yeah.
I've done enough night games at Evans Diamond to know I don't care what the thermometer says, it's
always
cold.
It's always cold at night.
And you don't have to worry about that here.
Nope. Don't have to.
We're glad to have you here.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Thanks for being here tonight.
Of course. Thank you guys so much for everything. You guys have been awesome.
ASU shortstop PJ Cerritos with us. We're back with Coach Bloomquist, and we'll preview the weekend with West Virginia right after this on the Sun Devil Radio Network. Our final segment of Dugout Chatter, along with head coach Willie Bloomquist. I'm Jeff Munn in for Braden Bell. Braden will be back next week. The upcoming series, West Virginia. I was looking at notes and numbers on them today, and the first thing I figured out was they can pitch.
Yeah, they got some arms for sure that are pretty good, and they can swing a little bit too. So there's a reason they're in the top 25, and they're a well-rounded team that's well coached. And we're gonna have a tough series, but it's in our ballpark, and we're gonna have our home fans are going to be there.
Yes.
Our attendance has been outstanding at home so far this year. We hope that trend continues this weekend and pack Muni and hopefully have that energy for our guys to play in front of.
I would anticipate that it will continue to be solid crowds. Friday and Saturday night, 6:35. Sunday is a 5:05 start for television for ESPN2. Which doesn't mean anything to us because we want you to be in the stands, buy a ticket, and bring your earbuds and listen to the radio broadcast. Tim Healy, by the way, will have Alex Coyle with him Friday night, and some guy named Munn will work with him on Saturday and Sunday if he can stand it, and we'll join you 15 minutes prior to first pitch with our pregame show coverage. I've been just almost to the point of distraction about something that's gone on this year. I know every team has statistical data. They have analytics that tell them we've got to play defensively. We got to set up our defense this way. You mentioned Hairston being able to use the whole field. Toigo uses the whole field. Every time Toigo comes up, I think, boy, here's a big, powerful hitting outfielder. He's going to pull everything. The defense adjusts that way, and then he starts slapping stuff to left, and then you start thinking, well, when are they going to decide we can't shift anymore?
Well, I think that's one of those things you roll the dice from a standpoint when you're putting a game plan together against certain players, and if you're going to take away their biggest strength, that's what we try to do is take away what is his biggest strength. If he's a power hitting guy, then go ahead, take your singles all day long. Keep the ball in the ballpark. If it's a table setter type guy, then obviously we're going to try to shift into that and make him try and get big and play out of his game, if you will. So anything we can do to take them out of their offensive game is what we try to do on our side of the ball.
Well, I understand that. It as a fan of sorts, it just always confuses me that you're right. I mean, Toigo is a power hitter. If they shift to the right and he takes the pitch the other way, there's a pretty good chance it's not going out of the park. But the way your offense has performed this year, he's got guys all around him who put the ball in play, move the runners along, hit the gaps. So it may not be a home run, but if he gets on base, he's got a pretty good chance of coming around to score.
Well, for me, if a team is going to shift against us, I'm all about getting base runners. That's kind of our mantra as an offensive unit is base runners equal chaos. So get base runners on. Pitchers are much different animals when they got guys on base, and they pitch differently, and now all of a sudden they're worried about somebody might score, or are they going to steal bases, and it takes them out of their element and out of their game plan. So for me, get on base. The more base runners we get, the better chance we have to win.
Both teams are very good defensively, too, and the two of you are in the top 3 in fielding percentage. You've been at the top most of the year. Now they've taken over the top spot. But the point I'm making is when fans come out this weekend, they're not going to see a lot of 4-out innings this weekend.
Well, hopefully not from our standpoint.
Right,
and
exactly.
We've done a little bit of too much of that the past couple games for our liking, and we've addressed it obviously as a coaching staff and continue to teach our guys, that those things are things we have to clean up. The more outs you give good offensive teams, the more they have the opportunity to punish you and put up crooked numbers on the scoreboard. And we found that out on Sunday at Kansas State. We gave them several extra outs, in our opinion, on the defensive side of the ball, and they punished us on Sunday. And last night, for an example, we got a little sloppy there toward the end and started giving extra outs. And the circus started a little bit there, and giving them extra runs allowed them to creep back in that game. So those are things that we just have to stay focused and do a much better job at.
Any changes in the way you set up your pitching? I know Kansas State to me was kind of a weekend where it's a different ballpark, it's turf, balls flying all over the place. So I wasn't too alarmed at some of the numbers, and I think in particular Alex Overbay on Saturday. There's no reason to panic there, right?
No, OV's got great stuff, and he's had a couple of not as good as we were anticipating. Against TCU, got off to a decent start, and then we put up a big crooked number against TCU, and then we kind of he lost it a little bit after a big kind of layoff that inning and 45 minutes in the dugout, and then had to go restart it and struggle a little bit coming off of that, and then he didn't have his best stuff against Kansas State. So hopefully he can bounce back and have more of an Alex Overbay type of weekend this weekend against West Virginia.
And same thing with Cole Klecker. I mean, we saw what he's capable of doing in the game against TCU.
I thought Klecker, and I said this on my post game deal on Sunday. I thought he threw the ball outstanding, and people call me crazy. Like, well, his line score, he gave up 6 or 7 runs, but at the end of the day, I thought he threw the ball really well. Again, there was some plays that we didn't make behind him that we should have, that would have really limited that damage. I think one inning he gave up 4 or 5 runs. Should have been out of that inning with maybe 1 run given up. And I thought the ball came out of his hand extremely well. I thought he was throwing with conviction. Just one of those days that didn't have the stars aligning for him, not to mention a couple of fly balls that really anybody that was watching that game, we had probably 30-mile-an-hour winds going left to right, and anything up in the air looked like one of my driver shots off the tee box, just sliced way over from left to right, and it was a crazy outfield to play. And we had a couple of balls that really took weird turns, and it ended up leading to some runs. But I actually thought, again, Cole threw the ball outstanding. He just didn't have a whole lot of results.
And that's it. You bring up an interesting point. When fans look at box scores, they can't just look at the pitching line and come to, he didn't have a good game. He had a good. When you're judging pitchers, you're looking at things like location, velocity. If he's hitting his spots and they get a hit off of him, it's one of those tip your cap kind of deals. Yeah,
and there's been on the flip side too, where it's like, hey, we had guys that come out and have good line numbers, but I'm like, man, you weren't very good today, and they look at you like they're crazy. What do you mean? I'm like, your breaking ball's hanging, your fastball's not located. So those are things, again, that as a teacher, as a coach, you're always looking for ways to have your guys get better and improve upon. And and there are cases, like I said, with the other day, where a pitcher throws the ball outstanding, just doesn't get a whole lot of results, and you're looking at, again, location, working ahead in the count, throwing with conviction, those type of things. And I saw all of it, and he did a great job. And then there's other times where, Kansas State lineup's pretty dang good.
Yeah, they are.
They had a tremendous 2-strike approach. There was a young man that had a 14-pitch at bat off of him and fouled off 9 or 10 pitches and then hit a double to center. And I'm like, man, that's just a flat-out good at bat. You know? What are you going to do? You keep pounding the zone, and he keeps fouling him off, finally got a pitch he could handle and did damage with it. So there's a lot of factors that go into the judgment of whether a guy had a good day or not, other than just the numbers.
Another thing that is, and you touched on it a little bit in our first segment, was a number of your hitters really go after the first pitch. And that's an eternal debate in baseball. If the best pitch you're going to see is the first pitch, you might as well go after. I think of Rowland. He has been so consistent first pitch swinging, and he makes good contact. It's almost like it doesn't matter whether the pitcher goes fastball first pitch or breaking ball or off speed, he's going to get a hold of it.
Yeah, I think a situation in the game dictates that a lot. And from an offensive standpoint, we're aggressive, and I want our guys to be aggressive. This is not a game of patty cake when you get in the batter's box. You're going up there to compete and go after somebody, and it's an aggressive on the attack mentality. And a lot of times, you heard from Cole Carlon earlier, what's his best pitch? Strike one. Well, why are you going to let Cole Carlon get ahead of you strike one and be down in the count? When you got a dude throwing 98 miles an hour with a wipeout slider, probably not a good idea to get behind. If he's going to groove you a fastball, go get it, right? And there are other guys out there that just are pitchability guys that don't have stuff to, quote-unquote, stuff to strike you out. Those are the guys maybe you look for more of your A swing early in the count and get a good pitch that you can drive and not chase out of the zone so much and be overly aggressive. But with guys with wipeout stuff and put away stuff, sometimes the best pitch you're going to get is the first one. And for me, what does that do to a pitcher when that pitcher knows these guys are going to come out swinging? All of a sudden they start nibbling and they get behind, and that puts us in better hitters' counts.
Exactly.
So for me, I'm more of always on the aggressive style. I'll always be that way. Work the counts. Although there's certain pitchers that you can do that with that have a tendency to be wild a little bit, but for me, I'm about action, man. Get in there and be ready to go.
Well, the other part of it is most pitchers, and this is going on for years and years and years in this game, most pitchers, they get up there, they face a guy, they want to get first pitch fastball, and they want to get it over for a strike.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the old adage. Again, talk to our pitching coach, talk to the best pitching coaches out there. It's win the race to 2 strikes. Well, what does that mean? You got to throw strike one and try to get strike 2 within the first 3 pitches. And as a hitter, again, do you want to get behind and then you don't know what dirty or dark pitch is coming next, and then you're on the defensive part of things versus being on the offensive part of it. But again, kind of cutting through all that for everything that we talk to our hitters about is if you're going to swing first pitch, we want you to get your A swing off on that first pitch. So it's not a contact swing necessarily unless contact is required in that moment, which there are. But we like our guys to go up there and be ready to get your A swing off early in the count. Assuming you can do that, let it rip.
Yeah.
So, but again, it shouldn't be a butt out, one-handed swing, grounder to short. Oh, I was aggressive, coach. No, he didn't get a real good swing off in the first pitch. So that's kind of the fine line there.
Well, so far so good. Devils off to a 4-2 start in conference. West Virginia's 5-1. It all adds up to what should be a phenomenal weekend of baseball. And as Coach said, we hope to see big crowds at Muni this weekend. Remember, the Sunday game is at 5:05. There's a big giveaway. They're giving away what they call the Tequila Sunrise jersey. I guess they're coming out in a T-shirt. And I remember that when I was the PA guy in 81 that we wore those things because the Astros had those rainbow tops back then.
Yep. We still get a lot of people asking, why aren't you going to wear the Tequila Sunrise jersey? That's probably the most common uniform question that we get asked is, when's the Tequila Sunrise making a return? So we're doing the T-shirt thing on Sunday.
There you go.
That'll be a good start.
Coach, appreciate it. Good luck this weekend.
You bet. Thanks for coming, and thanks all the fans for coming out. We'll see you at Muni this weekend.
Absolutely. And again, Friday, Saturday at 6:35, Sunday at 5:05, pregame on KDUS AM 1060, 15 minutes prior. We'll see you this weekend at the ballpark and right back here next Tuesday because there is a game on Monday night. So we'll be back here next Tuesday to tape Dugout Chatter with Willie Bloomquist here at Blanco Cocina Cantina. For head coach Willie Bloomquist and everybody behind the scenes, I'm Jeff Munn for Braden Bell. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week on Dugout Chatter on the Sun Devil Radio Network.